Hello and welcome to today's webcast on Tough Stuff, answering your questions about becoming an adult with a genetic condition. Today we'll hear from Corey Norrie, who is the Patient Transition Social Work Coordinator in the Division of Transition of Care for Nemours Alfred I. DuPont Hospital for Children, and Zach Martin, who will share his perspectives and some tips on transitioning as a young man with Williams syndrome. Corey will start by telling us why transition is so important and what her and Zach have been working on for young people navigating these tough transitions. Corey?
Thanks so much, Sharon. Hello, everyone. I want to have a chance to talk about transitioning and how important the topic is for people as they are becoming adults and moving into adult issues and adult life. So I'm excited to share this information with you today. So the first question is, why do we care? Why do we actually care about transition, and why is it an important topic for people, especially people with genetic conditions and special health care needs? And the reality is that young adults with special health care needs and genetic conditions have a lot of questions. And there's also not a lot of information or guidance about who you can ask questions to honestly and have accurate information. So we also want young adults to know that they deserve to have access to information that's accurate and matter of fact and in a format that's easy to use. And so in trying to figure out what's the best way for young adults to access information, we decided to create some videos to help answer some questions so people could actually figure out information any time of day from their mobile device or in their, at home on the internet as well. And then the ultimate goal is that we want young adults to become informed consumers of healthcare. It's all part of being an adult and being responsible for yourself. And we want people to have access to information so they can make wise decisions about their future. So because of that, we actually were able to be awarded funding from the Genetic Alliance Impact Award, where last year we filmed over the course of an entire week on the various locations here in Delaware, where we interviewed experts in genetics, we interviewed physicians, genetic counselors, and young adults themselves. And we had the videos vetted for feedback from young adults to make sure that they got information that they thought was accurate and in a user-friendly format before publishing them. And so we're so excited today to share the videos with you. Just for a little bit of fun before we actually talk about the videos themselves, these are some pictures from behind the scenes of actually filming. And so for anybody who's never been part of actually filming videos before, there's a lot of work and energy that goes into making just a very nice video. And so lots of different people and players involved. And this is just some background scenes of all the cameras and the crews and the boom mics and all those people who are part of our week here in Delaware. So the two different topics that we tackled in these videos are around planning for a family with a genetic condition, as well as becoming an adult and having the future life that you want with having a genetic condition. And one of the most important factors that we want young adults to think about is the importance of knowing their family health history. And so the videos, we actually have discussions with physicians about this, but this slide is just a demonstration of one of the typical forms that a young adult may encounter in their first visit to an adult healthcare provider. And there's a lot of boxes here on the screen, a lot of things to check off. And a lot of the stuff is things that someone, when given this for the first time, looks at and they think, I have no clue about any of this information about myself, or about my great-grandparents, or my aunts, or my uncles, or my siblings even. And so we want young adults to be prepared for these transitions so that way they can actually go to a provider themselves and have this knowledge and information. And so there are some ways to get this information, and that would be through things like talking to their family members, actually filling out forms like this together, or next time you're together for a holiday dinner when you have lots of extended family there, to also talk to people and ask questions and take notes about stuff. And I always say don't fear, because there's an app for that. So there are lots of apps out there nowadays that help capture family health history. And with all apps, we always just want to make sure people know, there's a little disclaimer, that you want to make sure that when you're downloading an app, especially something that's capturing private health information about you, you want to make sure about what information is being collected and how it's being stored, because this is personal information that you don't want out there in the entire world to have access to. So the videos talk about the importance of knowing your family health history so you can make decisions about yourself, but also make decisions about your future. The videos also cover the topic of actually planning for having a family, knowing that you have a genetic condition. And so one of the things that I have found in my world of transition is that when someone's been diagnosed with a genetic condition, oftentimes it may have been when the child was very, very young, when the parents were still the ones who were making all the decisions for the young adult or for the child, and are the ones who actually absorb the information. And a lot of times people expect that young adults have learned their health information through osmosis, meaning they just absorbed it by being in the same room with the doctors and their parents at the same time. And the reality is it's not the case. And so a lot of young adults I work with now who have a genetic condition don't actually understand how they inherited their condition or what their likelihood of passing that condition on is to offspring. And so the video talks about it with genetic counselors and animated slides showing how people actually inherit different gene patterns and why it's important to know about how your condition was passed on to you and the potential for you passing it on to other people. Additionally, the videos talk about why and how to find a genetic counselor and the benefits of a genetic counselor. So people sometimes think about genetic counselors purely from the idea of family planning, but there are actually genetic counselors who specialize in a variety of different types of health conditions, including cancers. And so the videos demonstrate the benefits of genetic counseling and the discussions that genetic counselors can have with young adults and their families, as well as just giving people good information about themselves so they can be informed consumers of healthcare. There's also information in the videos about ways to find information about your genetic diagnosis or how to actually access a genetic counselor. So through great websites like Disease Info Search and also the Genetic Counselors Society, people can actually just go in and log in and type in a condition and find out information that's really important and relevant to them, as well as looking for a genetic counselor anywhere in the country. And there's some genetic counselors that may not be geographically close to you, but who have options of speaking to young adults on the telephone or giving you information virtually, so that way you can still make informed decisions. Another part of the videos is focusing on employment protections for adults with genetic conditions and the Djinni law, or the Djinni Act, and talking about the non-discrimination supports that are in place now from federal law so someone who has a genetic condition cannot be discriminated against in their employment, in their ability to move up the corporate ladder, as well as being denied benefits because of a genetic condition. So the videos also highlight what we think is the most important part, which is, hey, you're a young adult, and we want you to go on to have that same adult life that you've always wanted for yourself and that your family's always wanted for you. And so we've had the luxury in the videos of interviewing 3 young adults, actually, who all have a genetic condition, each with a very different genetic condition, actually. And so these are some screenshots from the videos. The top left there is Seeley Howell, who works at Cabela's. He's employed full-time now. And then on the right there is Zach Martin, who's here with me today, who will be talking in just a second, on his job site working at the Wellington Blue Rocks, which is our minor league baseball team. And then on the bottom picture there is Abby Trackman, who talks about her career aspirations and going on to work with special education students, and she's very active in her school community and has learned a lot about self-advocacy. So at this time, I want to turn it over to Zach for a few minutes and have him answer some questions and share some information about himself to demonstrate that young adults with genetic conditions can become anything they want to become and can go on to have that life that they've always dreamed of. So Zach, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks. So Zach, how old are you now?
19. I'm about to be 20 in June.
Okay, so you're really close to turning 20, and you have a genetic condition.
Yeah.
And did you graduate high school?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And then what have you done since you graduated high school?
I got enrolled into a tier college program at the University of Delaware called the Classic Program, and I just finished up my first year.
Great. And so what kind of, when you were back in high school, what kind of dreams did you have for yourself? Did you think you were definitely going to college?
No, I really didn't think about it then.
Okay. And so what made you decide that college was right for you?
I just wanted to try something new because I didn't want to sit at the house and do nothing.
Right, you don't want to sit around and just do nothing. Did you have friends who were going to go to college?
Yeah.
Okay, so you thought a little bit of doing the typical college experience like a lot of young adults do. And now you're just finishing up your first year. You just finished your first year.
Yeah.
And how did it go for you?
Good.
Yeah, was it, or did you have any challenges that you didn't expect?
Well, yeah, I might go with talking to people. Like, I'm too friendly with people sometimes. So it doesn't work out sometimes, but that's how I learn.
Okay, good. And so, what's been the best part about being a college student this year?
Like being able to go everywhere on the campus like a normal college student, be able to participate in the same things that they do.
Good. And do you feel like you're part of the college campus now?
I do.
Great.
I'm going to be moving into an apartment next year, or in August, with a roommate.
That's great. And now, was that something that you thought originally was part of your plan?
No, he asked me to do it.
Great. And how do your parents feel about that?
I think they might be a little scared, but they're okay with it.
Yeah. They're probably pretty proud of you, too, though.
Yeah.
But a little scared because that's a common thing for parents to feel when their kids are getting up ready to move on into the adult world. And so what does next year look like for you as a college student?
Well, I'll be working on the interning at the UD campus at the Perkins Student Center, where I'll be at the information desk, hopefully being able to answer all the questions that people have about to where to go, or if they have something that they need there.
Awesome. And tell us about your job at the Blue Rocks.
Well, this is my second year working at the Blue Rocks. Last year I started internship during high school, and then they started to, they employed me as working there, and I've been working there this year too.
And what kind of things do you do there?
I'm Rocky handling.
And what does that mean for people who aren't from Wilmington, Delaware, and don't know who Rocky Bluewinkle is?
Oh yeah, it's the mascot of the Wilmington Blue Rocks baseball team. The minor a baseball team in Wilmington, and I just walk around with him to make sure that that the kids aren't all over him. He's just making sure it's peaceful for him to walk around.
Good.
People.
And what else do you do? In the video, there's some footage of you doing some things out on the field, and
I still hand out programs sometimes, and I still help out sometimes with the stuff on the field, but it's mainly more about working with Rocky, since the person last year isn't here this year.
Okay. And now, what do you think you want to do for a long-term career? Do you think the Blue Rocks is where you want to end up?
Yeah, I love the Blue Rocks.
All right. And what have you learned this year about advocacy and being involved with people with disabilities?
I learned that if you want good grades in school, you have to actually work for that. You won't teacher give me F's if I didn't do something right, and that's how I learned to not turn things in late. And you have to ask the teacher questions if you need to, because they're not going to know unless you ask them.
Absolutely. And you mentioned earlier to me that you were interested in becoming more of an advocate for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
What does that look like to you? What do you think about that?
I'm not sure. Maybe going around talking at different schools or places about how I'm being more independent on my own, when I'm getting my apartment, and anybody else can do that too.
Good. What advice would you give to other young adults out there who are at the similar age to you, finishing high school or thinking about moving into the adult world, but maybe they're a little bit nervous, or they have parents who are a little bit nervous? What advice would you give them about becoming an adult and taking more responsibility for themselves?
I guess I would just even if something doesn't seem like it's going to work out, still try it anyway, because it might work out for you if you work your hardest.
Great. And do you feel like having Williams syndrome, a genetic condition, has held you back at all or slowed you down from accomplishing your dreams?
No. Because I do so much other stuff, I kind of forget that it is a condition. I just go about my day like a normal human being.
Good. All right. So the videos demonstrate stories like Zach's and the idea that young adults who have a genetic condition can go on to live the life that they want to live. And I think Zach just said it great, as a great illustration to say that, you got to try things. And we can't always predict whether someone's going to be successful or not, but that's part of the human experience. And becoming an adult and transitioning into adulthood is to try things out and see if it works for you. And there's lots of opportunities that exist. And we don't want people, because of a diagnosis or a label, to automatically assume that it's not a good option for them or a good fit for them. And so the same thing with planning for adult life and having adult conversations around family planning, around getting a job, around being independent and taking responsibility for yourself. The videos all demonstrate the importance of young adults learning as much as possible about themselves and being able to plan for their future appropriately. And so just as at the end of the videos, we actually have a 4-question survey link for really quick, short questions, just because we want to try to find out how people are actually going to use the videos. And I know there are some genetic counseling classes that have them already put into their curriculum now to be shared. And so we'd love to hear from you as you watch the videos about how you think you'll use them, whether you're a young adult or a family member or a professional or a teacher, and how you're actually going to use the videos in the future. So here they are. Here's the actual links to the direct videos themselves, and we hope that you watch them and share them and have a chance to use the information and share it with other people who could benefit from it. And just as a thanks, here's a list of the people. We want to thank the Genetic Alliance for funding, Zach, the Wellington Blue Rocks, Stephen Howe, Cabela's, Abby and Susie Trackman, Jesselyn Lewis, Delisi Washington, Mervyn Jones, Vivian, Dr. Lou, Nina, and Amy, for sharing all of their expertise and knowledge and wisdom with us and opening up their lives and their homes to us to film to show other young adults what's possible. So we really hope you enjoy the videos.